we'll start with the prayer. Please try and join whoever you can, and then we'll do a bit of kirtan. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatyadekshitarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatyadekshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Shri Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayan Krishna Govinda Hare Murari, He Nath Narayan Vasudeva. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari, He Nath Narayan Vasudeva. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Just Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Good night, Prabhu.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever you want to do. Jai Shri Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's nice to be with everyone today. So Vaishnav Prabhu cannot make it. He was meant to give the talk today, but he couldn't make it. So somehow I'm here again. So thank you to Geeta Ben, Sneha Ben and Jyoti Ben for singing. It's always nice to start the sessions every week or every time we meet with the calling of the Lord's name. Because by calling the Lord's name, we are really trying to establish a deep connection within the heart. So chapter 10 is a very interesting chapter, which you started it was just last week? Was it just last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay. I was in India. I just got back on Monday, so I'm a bit out of sync with what days is where. So you've done text 1 to 18, and when I walked in just now, someone came up to me and requested we just discuss text 8 to 11 again before we move on to text 19 onwards, which is good idea, because text 8, 9, 10 and 11 is called the Chatur Shloki. Chatur Shloki means the 4 seed verses of the Bhagavad Gita. So if someone asked you what's the essence of the Gita, you could point them to chapter 10, text 8, 9, 10 and 11, and pretty much everything in the Bhagavad Gita is within those 4 texts. So we'll kind of revisit that today before moving on to discussing Vibhuti Yoga, which is the name of this chapter, the attraction. What attracts us to Krishna in this material world? What in this material world can attract us to the Lord? Okay. How are we all doing? You all doing good? Had a good Easter weekend? Okay. So we'll start the session by chanting the invocation prayers. They are on page 1. If you have the Bhagavad Gita with you, it's on page number 1. So feel free to chant along. And by chanting along, if you don't know the words, that's absolutely fine. Just close your eyes if you wish, or keep your ears open, keep your heart open, and be ready to absorb the transcendental sound vibration. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So chapter 10 is where the Bhagavad Gita could have ended. It could have ended in chapter 10 because this is where Arjuna is convinced. At this point in chapter 10, just after the Chatur Shloki, Arjuna is convinced, Krishna, yes, you are God, I agree with what you said, done, I'm ready. But then Arjuna carried on asking questions, and Krishna kept answering them for our benefit, for all of us, the future generations who need to understand things a little bit more intricately. So in chapter 10, the Chatur Shloki begins at text number 8, which is, we're just going to recap this from last time. So Krishna here in text number 8 is telling all of us who he is. So aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Does anyone want to, can someone please volunteer to read chapter 10 text 8, the English translation? Yes, Nehavan, please.
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their heart.
Thank you so much. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of everything spiritual and everything material. So Krishna is just letting us get to know him. We want to get to know someone. So, Krishna just this is his CV. You have your CV, I have my CV. My CV, oh, I'm a qualified accountant, I went to this college, I'm now doing this, I'm now training in this. That's my CV. Krishna's CV is, I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Beat that. So this is Krishna. So this is the beginning of the Chatur Shloki, where Krishna is just letting us get to know him a little bit. So he's saying, I'm the source of everything. So everything you're seeing, the origin is me. Anything spiritual, I'm the origin. Anything material, I'm the origin. Everything comes from me. And those that are wise, those that are learned, Buddha Bhava Samanvita, those who are wise, what do? Bhajante mam. They engage in my devotional service. So what Krishna is saying is, look, I'm the origin of everything, and if you have some wisdom, if you have some intelligence, what you will do is connect your life with me, because I'm the source of everything. So he's making things clear. This is who I am, and this is what wise people do with their life. They connect to me, and they worship me with all their hearts. So when we worship Krishna, Krishna doesn't want just the worship, he wants the heart. Because the heart is where we store our love. So Krishna wants loving devotional service. Love is a choice. Love is something Krishna doesn't want to force out of us, because when we force love, it's not love. Isn't it? When you force something, there's no love. Love is something that has to be chosen by that person. I choose to behave in a certain way. I choose to engage my life in this devotional service of the Lord. And Krishna wants that to be a choice. He leaves us with very limited free will. We don't have much free will. We have a little bit. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, I would love to just fly here from my house without having to go through the traffic. But I don't have that option, because my free will is limited. So what we want to do and what we can do are two different things. But one thing that Krishna does give us the option to do is choose where we invest our heart. That's up to us. Where is our heart being invested? And what we may have realized in our life so far is that whenever we've placed our heart in the wrong place, our heart is somewhat broken. It somewhat gets disturbed. Isn't it? It happens. People upset us, things upset us, situations upset us. I was just in India, like I said, mosquitoes were upsetting me and my kids. So this is the way of the world. So we've got a choice, and Krishna wants us to use he's not saying he's just saying, if you're wise, this is what you'll do. And then he gets into it more. Machita margata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushanticha ramanticha. Can anyone read text number 9, please? Yes, at the back.
The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and wisdom, always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
Thank you very much. So here, what is Krishna saying? That I'm always thinking of my devotees, just like a parent is always thinking of their children. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. So all that the devotees are doing is thinking, how can I serve Krishna? And this is really interesting. They derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Katayantas chamam nityam tushanticha ramanticha. So katayantas chamam nityam, that those who are perpetually always talking about me, Krishna is saying this, those who are always talking about me, discussing me, enlightening each other about me, their life is full of bliss and satisfaction. So Krishna is giving us a hint. How can we have a life of bliss and satisfaction? He's saying, just talk about me. enlighten each other about me, converse about me. You know, like how we like to talk about others? So Krishna is saying, look, we've all got a propensity to talk about others. So why not just talk about me? Why I can be that other person you talk about. And when you talk about me, you'll actually feel happy. Because we've probably noticed when we talk about others, we don't really feel so happy afterwards. It's like a little bit of juice and then a lot of karela at the end. It gets a bit bitter. You know, that's how it is. That's how it is. So this is, and what Krishna is saying is, if you want to talk about someone, quit gossiping about the person next door, about the person at work, or the mother-in-law. Why not just talk about me? Why not just talk about me? Because when you talk about me, there's great satisfaction and bliss. And this is a feeling, this is an understanding, we can feel it for ourselves. When we speak about Krishna, we do feel some happiness. When we hear about Krishna, we do feel some happiness. And the more we do it, the more happiness we'll feel. It's not so natural to us. Why is it not so natural to us? Well, it's natural for the soul, it's just not natural to our mind, because our mind has gone through millions and millions of lifetimes of rubbish being put in it. So just imagine this huge dustbin, and you kept putting rubbish in the dustbin. So that's what the mind is like. But when we hear about Krishna, when we talk about Krishna, what we're doing is we're emptying out the dustbin. We're emptying out the trash. And we're actually being able to fill it with something useful. Filling the mind and filling the heart with something, with someone who is really, really a source of pleasure. When we hear about Krishna's pastimes, they're just so magical when we get into it. Like, when you think about how clever he is, like when we think of that story of when Duryodhan was going to his mum, Gandhari, and Gandhari told Duryodhan, all these years I have kept my eyes blindfolded. I've kept my eyes blindfolded all these years out of chastity, because my husband, Dhritarashtra, could not see. And she didn't want to have more, power than her husband, so she chose to blind herself. She chose to blindfold herself, so she couldn't see. So what happened, all her Shakti, all her spiritual strength were all invested in her eyes. All her spiritual strength was invested in her eyes. So Duryodhan was speaking to his mum, and his mum said, you're about to fight this war. You're about to fight this war. The only way you've got a chance in this war is if you come to see me tonight and see me without wearing any clothes. Now, she didn't say it like that. She said, appear before me as if the way I saw you on the day you were born. She said it in that way. But what she basically said to him is, come see me, don't wear any clothes, and with my vision, the strength in my eyes will protect your whole body, head to toe. So Duryodhan's thinking, okay, I've got to do this. My mom said, and this is the only way, because Gandhari knew that there's no chance for her son to win because Krishna's on the other side. So this is Krishna. Now, what makes Krishna so interesting is that Krishna will always protect his devotees. So he sees Duryodhan about to go visit his mom, and he says to Duryodhan, like, bro, what you doing? Where's your clothes? You know, like, where are you going? And kapra to pe? You know, it's like, what are you doing here? And Duryodhan says, I'm just going to go see my mom. And Krishna's like, okay, joya panja kapra to pe? And Duryodhan's like, no, I can't see my mom. So Krishna says, okay, at least cover your private area. At least cover your waist. At least cover that. And Duryodhan's thinking, okay, at least I'll cover that. So then he went to see his mom. The mom, Gandhari, undid her blindfold. And as soon as she saw him, she knew it was all over. And she knew who's done this? Krishna. She knew Krishna's done this. And she said, why are you wearing this? And Duryodhana said, I can't see you totally naked. That's just wrong. And Krishna, that's what Krishna said, that's immoral. How can you're like a grown man, you're not a baby. And so he convinced Duryodhana. And then Gandhari protected Duryodhana but couldn't protect what she couldn't see. And then what happened later is Duryodhana fought with Bhim in the mace fight. And that was the last battle of the war, because everyone else, the Kauravas, were killed. And in that fight, Duryodhana was undefeatable. Nothing could happen. Bhim kept hitting him and nothing happened. Why? Because Gandhari had protected him. It was a totally unfair fight. It's like having, if you're watching a cricket match, it's like having a batsman and a bowler, and whatever the bowler does, the batsman hits it for six. Googly, Yorker, spin, fast, medium, whatever the bowler does, it's gone for six. And it was an unfair duel. So then Krishna said to Bhim, hit him below the waist, because that's the part that wasn't protected. Hit him just below the waist. And Krishna is sometimes criticized. Oh, but this is not part of the etiquette in fighting a war. You can't hit below the waist. In a mace fight, you can only hit above the waist. But Krishna told him, hit below the waist. And when he hit below the waist, when he hit him there below the waist, then what happened? Duryodhana was defeated. So Krishna is beyond all morality. He's beyond morality. There's morality and then there's Krishna. Krishna is beyond morality. Because the one thing that's more important than morals for Krishna is his love for his devotees. Is the love he has for all of us. So this is just one story. But when we hear this story, when we discuss this story, what happens? We feel some satisfaction. We feel some happiness within our heart. And Krishna is basically saying in text 9, the more we do this, the more we converse about him and enlighten each other about him, the more satisfaction and bliss we will feel within our heart. So that's what Krishna is saying in text 9. And then text 10, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Can anyone read text 10? Please? Okay, behind it, you can do 11, Hina. Yes.
To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me.
Thank you so much. So Krishna here is saying, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I'll give them the understanding by which they can come to me. Amazing. So this is another part of Krishna's personality. If you're constantly devoted to me, Krishna is saying, don't worry about anything. I'll make everything clear for you. I'll make everything clear for you. Because buddhi yogam tam. Buddhi yoga means I'll give you the real intelligence. What we need to do whenever we're in any situation is use our connection, or should we say, use our intelligence to connect. Buddhi means intelligence and yoga means to connect. So basically, what we can do when we're in a difficult situation, use our buddhi to do yoga. Buddhi yogam tam. Use our intelligence to connect to Krishna. And if we use our intelligence to connect to Krishna, Krishna will give us whatever we need to come to him. Krishna will make us totally satisfied in Vrindavan. And I was told that whenever you pray to Giriraj, he answers your prayers very quickly. So I went to Giriraj because I was in Govardhan, and I prayed to Giriraj and I said, I really think I'm ready to be a father. Please please make this happen for us very, very quickly. And within a month, my wife was pregnant and the baby came, and it's like, woo, this is really good. Amazing. This really works. Okay. Wow. Okay. And then a couple of years later, 2-3 years later, I thought, I'm going to go do the same thing again. So I went to Giraj, and the prayer changed a little bit. And I said, I want another child, but I'd like a boy. I've got a girl. Give me a boy now. I want to play football in the garden. And the child came very, very quickly, but it was a girl. I'm like, oh, hello. And I remember when we found out, when we went for the 5-month scan, when I first when we found out it was a girl, for that day I was a little bit, okay, yeah, we got a girl, it would have been nice, that I could, have a little chic, another little boy who has one of these, and, dhoti, and I could just someone for me to hang out with. And my wife spoke to me the next day and said, you really shouldn't be like that, because this is your daughter. You'll end up loving her. And I said, but will I ever love another girl the way I love Keshavi? And I just didn't know. And then within 1 or 2 days, after my wife grilled me a little bit, I was actually very excited to have my second daughter. But then I thought, okay, maybe we'll try for a third one later on. Maybe. But once my daughter came along, and just after spending a few months with her, I felt so satisfied. I didn't feel like I needed another child. I didn't feel like I needed a son. And I felt so internally satisfied with what Krishna had given me. And this is what Krishna does. We may pray for something. He may give us something else because he knows what's best for us. But as well as giving us the something else, whatever it is, he'll give us the internal satisfaction with what he has given us. And that's the way Krishna works. And this is very different to worshipping demigods, which we've been speaking about on and off throughout this course of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gives us what we need, not necessarily what we want. Because Krishna is really, really interested in our long-term welfare. He really cares. So he knows what's best. He knew for me, I'm better off on a Saturday painting nails than playing football in the garden. That's what I do. I'm like, yay, it's pink, yay. So, but Krishna knows what's best for us. He knows what's best for us. But what he'll do, like we said, is he'll give us the satisfaction. He won't leave us hankering. He won't leave us hankering. Na sochati, na kankshati. No hankering, no lamentation. So this is what happens when we serve Krishna. He'll give us the understanding how we can connect with him better. And then text 11. Tesham evanukam partam aham agyana jam tamaha nashayam atmano bhavasto jnana dipena bhashvata. Okay, Hinaben?
To show them special mercy. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance.
Thank you very much. So, text number, shall I take that for you? There you go. So text number 11, will this give an echo? Give it to you. Okay. Text number 11, Krishna is saying, I will shine the lamp of knowledge on the darkness born of ignorance. So, when we hear the darkness born of ignorance, what is this darkness? This darkness is that sometimes we're not awake to spirituality. And Krishna will wake us up to the spiritual reality. Sometimes we're so caught up with what life is giving us and just sorting out problems, sorting out issues, that we don't really have time to spiritually wake up. But Krishna says, to show them special mercy, I will wake them up. He'll wake us up. And he can do it in many different ways. Ultimately, Krishna wakes us up through his devotees. Krishna will send someone to our lives And when Krishna sends us someone or a situation, but even when situations occur, we then need a someone who can guide us on the path to spiritual life. And then what will happen? Krishna will test us. But if we are sincere, Krishna will continue to do what he said in the previous text. He'll continue to give us the understanding by which we can come to him. The tests will come. Why? Why should the tests come? Why isn't it just so easy? Because through the tests comes more love. Through the tests comes more determination. Through the tests, we realize whether we want spiritual awakening or whether we just want relief from our problems. Many people come to spiritual life when they've got problems. And when their problems are fixed, they're gone again. And then the problems come back and you see them again. I've seen this at the temple over the years. It's like, oh, you're back again. What's happened now? And it's like, oh, Prabhu, you don't know what happened. No, I know something's happened. That's why you're here. So sometimes this happens. It's sometimes spiritual life is seen as a pain relief, and it can be, but it's more than pain relief. It's a cure. It's a cure. It's a real cure, and spiritual life is something that will be given, is always given to us as an opportunity, but then it's our responsibility to take advantage of that spiritual opportunity that Krishna gives us. And he usually gives it to us through a devotee, through someone. And then it's up to us how seriously we want to take it. But the more seriously we take it, the happier we will end up. That's what Krishna is getting at here. Now, when we say seriously, it doesn't mean that you can't be happy. You actually will be more happy. It doesn't mean you have to ditch your family. No, you'll just love your family in a more spiritual way, in a deeper way. It just means that the choices we make day to day may be different to what we did do, but those choices will make us more internally satisfied. So this was the Chatur Shloki, text 8 to 11, which we wanted to just have a recap of, purely because this is the foundation of the Gita. So then the next few texts, in text 14, Arjun says to Krishna, "Oh Krishna, I totally accept as truth everything you've told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons can understand your personality." Arjun saying to Krishna, I'm done. The Gita could finish now because I totally have understood what you said. I'm ready to fight this war. I'm okay. But then Arjun says, hey, in text 16, please give me in detail your divine opulences. So this is now, the Gita is now being continuing for the future generations. What Krishna needed to say to Arjun has all been done. So this is now for us. So I think you went up to text 18 last time. Okay, so we'll go to 19. Can anyone read text 19, please? Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent. O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless."
Yeah, thank you. So Krishna is saying, look, I can't, Arjun said, tell me about your opulences, and Krishna is saying, they're limitless. I mean, how long have you got? You know, they're limitless. It's unending. So what he's saying, I'll give you a little bit. I'll tell you those that are prominent. Then he starts with a bang in text number 20. Can anyone read text 20, please? Yes, at the back. Thank you.
I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning and the middle and end of all beings.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So he's in the heart of all living entities. He's in our heart. That's amazing. Krishna's in our heart right now. He's in our heart. He's sitting there right now. So we're never alone. We're never alone. That's like every year I try to go alone to Vrindavan without, I mean, I like to have a few trips with my wife and kids, and there has to be one trip when I go alone. And that alone trip is really different because actually it's just you and who's inside. And Krishna is saying, I'm always with you. So we're never actually alone. What happens is, in this world, a lot of the time, we're seeking acceptance from others around us because of a feeling of loneliness within. And because we have a feeling of loneliness within, we try to feel acceptance from others. And then when that acceptance from others doesn't manifest in the way that we hoped, or maybe we could say deserved, or should have been reciprocated with how much we've done for them, all these different dialogues that may be going on in our mind. Beyond all of that, Krishna is in our heart fully accepting us. So we can actually accept ourselves because we can actually tap in to the acceptance of Krishna without needing that acceptance from anyone else. A lot of the time, we are struggling with our mind because of how others are treating us. Isn't it true? I mean, we can be honest. The way others treat us gets to us. But when we can go beyond that and realize that Krishna's in my heart and He's full of love, He's always going to protect me, He's always going to do what's best for me, why don't I just connect with Him? And when we spend time connecting with Him, we start to feel very okay by ourselves because we're with Him. And then whether someone accepts us, doesn't accept us, invites us to their function, doesn't invite us to their function, tells you the secret that everyone else knows and you the only one who doesn't know, all this sort of stuff that clogs our minds. You know, all this stuff bothers us, right? It bugs us. But actually, when we're with Krishna, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Krishna will let us know what we need to know, and what we don't need to know, we don't need to know because we trust Krishna to give us the information that we need. Bhim trusted Krishna. When Krishna told Bhim, go against morality and hit Duryodhan below the waist, Bhim did it. Because he knew that Krishna will tell him what to do, when to do it. And he did. And Krishna does that. What is it about us that can't trust Krishna? We can't trust Krishna, not because Krishna's not trustworthy, it's because maybe in this life, our trust has been broken so many times by others. And maybe also, we haven't been so trustworthy to others, if we're honest with ourselves. So we've lived a life where we may not have been trustworthy to others, and others may not have been trustworthy towards us, and therefore we don't have a faith in trust. And because we don't have a faith in trust, we can't trust Krishna. But Krishna's here saying, hey, I'm really trustworthy because I'm in your heart. And guess what? Everyone around you here, you're not going to know them in your next life, but I'm still going to be in your heart. And everyone around you here, none of these people were here in your previous life, and guess what? I was. I'm in your heart, life after life after life. So invest in that relationship. He says, I am the beginning, the middle, and end of all beings. He's there all the time. How many friends have we had from our childhood till now? They've changed a few times. And it happens. There are one or two constants, but friends change. It's part of life. It's okay. It's good. It happens. But Krishna's always there. The relationship with our family, it changes. Like I was just thinking the other day, like the relationship I have with my sister. Now, I have a very loving relationship with my sister, but it's very different now to what it was 20 years ago, I mean, 40 years ago, we were sharing a bathtub because we were just little kids. Years go by, you're sharing a room. Then years go by, and you've got your friends, and she's got her friends. Then she gets married, and I get married. And now you meet up, hey, should we get the kids together? Should we go see mum and dad? The relationship changes. But the relationship with Krishna is always deep, loving, and meaningful. So that is a constant. So we can invest in the constant because that won't change. So Krishna is saying, I'm the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then what Krishna does for the next few texts is he starts to discuss his prominent opulences so that we can remember him. So we can just read a couple of these examples. They're all everywhere. So let's say, for example, text number 25. He says, of the sages I am Bhrigu, of vibrations I am the transcendental Om, of sacrifices I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa, and of immovable things I am the Himalayas. So Krishna is saying, okay, look, there's lots of sages, I'm Bhrigu. Why? Because Bhrigu is known as the most powerful sage. Of all the vibrations, Om is such, we all know the vibration Om. Krishna is saying, by the way, Om, that's me. So we're thinking, okay, what is Om? Krishna is saying, that's me. So now Krishna must be something like Om is him. Like we thought Om is beyond him, but Krishna is saying Om is me, comes from me because I'm the source. Okay, of sacrifices I am the chanting of the holy names. Yagyanam japa yagyosmi. This is really important because there's so many different sacrifices we can do. We can do Havan, that we see Havan as a sacrifice. We see other ways we can see sacrifice. We sacrificed all our wealth to send our children to private school. That's another sacrifice. That's another type of sacrifice. There's different types of sacrifices. I sacrificed my marriage to save my children. So many people have different types of sacrifices. Deep sacrifices. But what Krishna is saying here is of all the sacrifices, the chanting of the holy names. Why? Because what we're doing when we're chanting the holy names is we are sacrificing our consciousness. We are directing our consciousness away from the material energy towards the spiritual world, towards the place and the person that is eternal. It's really hard to chant attentively. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's one mantra. To chant 108 of those mantras is one round. That takes 8 to 9 minutes. And then Srila Prabhupada recommended that we do 16 of these rounds. So that takes 2 hours every day, roughly, maybe a bit more than 2 hours. That's quite a sacrifice. It's not just the time, it's the investment of the consciousness. Now, it's not easy. I mean, to be honest, for me, I do 2-3 rounds and then I'm like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then I remember, oh my God, I'm touching my phone. And then I'm like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. And then by then, you do a few rounds. Today I woke up early, I was chanting downstairs, and before you know it, Revati comes running down the stairs, my younger daughter, she's brushing her hair. Papa, Keshav is throwing up. I'm like, oh no. Okay. I'm like, oh my God, I woke up early thinking, okay, I've woken up early, the kids are asleep, I can just chant. And then they wake up early, and one of them's sick. And it's like, okay, Krishna, you're really testing me here. And so, I thought I'd go to work with having done all my rounds. So it's a real sacrifice. And Krishna is saying, of all the sacrifices, the chanting of the holy names. So Krishna's, in one sense, telling us how hard it is, but at the same time, what Krishna is saying is, this is the sacrifice that will make me happy. There's so many different things we can do. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. These are all part of dharma, yes. But Krishna is saying, beyond all of that, The biggest sacrifice is chant the holy name. Don't worry about everything else. Chant the holy name. And what happens when we chant Krishna's names? Naturally from within the heart, He will guide us when to give something up and when to not give something up, what to do, what not to do. Because he becomes real, the relationship becomes real, and within the heart we start to feel what we should and shouldn't do, what we can and can't do. So this is the sacrifice. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. So we know that the Himalayan mountain and is the greatest mountain in the world, because he's saying this is the greatest of all immovable things. So what Krishna is doing here is he's manifest that I am of all the mountains, I'm the Himalayas. Of all the sacrifices, I am chanting. Of all the sages, I am Bhrigu. Of all the vibrations, I am Om. What is he saying? Whatever we are attracted to in this world, it comes from him. So we may be attracted to a famous tennis player, but what Krishna is saying is that talent comes from me. Whatever it is that has any opulence in this world, Krishna is basically saying that it comes from me. Now we could be thinking, well, why is Krishna saying it's all him? Because he said it all already. In text 8, he said, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Now he's just giving examples. Why? Because Arjun asked, can you give me some examples for everyone else, for all of us? It's just examples for us. So he carries on, does it for the next few texts. He just carries on. In text 31, of purifiers I am the wind, of the wielders of weapons I am Ram, of fishes I am the shark, of the flowing rivers I am the Ganges. So in this way, Krishna's not saying he's a shark, but the thing is, when you think of a shark, you think of ferocious, aggressive, strong, quick. All that talent comes from Krishna. That's what he's saying. All this talent of the shark is coming from Krishna. Of purifiers, I am the wind. If the room is smelling, you say, open the window, Bari Kol, open the window. And then it cleans. So it's purifying. The wind is purifying. So Krishna is saying, by the way, the purification that comes from the wind, that's coming from me. So he's just saying, this is all coming from me. And then if we just keep moving on text 36, it's quite interesting. I am also the gambling of cheats. Of the splendid, I am the splendor. I am victory. I am adventure. I am the strength of the strong. So again, Krishna is saying that I can cheat more than anyone else. But when he cheats, he's doing it for a loving, devotional reason. Just like when he told Bhim to hit Duryodhan below the waist. In one sense, that was cheating, because you can't hit below the waist. You can't do that in a mace fight. But why did Krishna tell Bhim to do that? Because the fight itself wasn't fair. The fight wasn't fair because Bhim had this shield from Gandhari that meant that every time Bhim hit him, nothing happened. And every time Duryodhan hit Bhim, it hurt because they're in a mace fight. So then Krishna told, and then it all comes back to karma. You can't get away. We can't get away with what we do. And in the assembly, when Draupadi was dragged across the assembly by Dushashan, and Duryodhan said to Draupadi, sit on my lap. You're a prostitute, just sit on my lap. He said that. So it was that very lap, that very thigh that he was slapping, where he was hit by Bhim. And he ultimately lost the fight. So everything is intelligently articulated by Krishna. And if you want to cheat anyone, you may get away with it, but you can't cheat Krishna. Because he's in the heart. You can't run away from him because he's there all the time. So it's like whoever we might get away with cheating anyone, but we can't cheat ourselves and we can't cheat Krishna. What do I mean by we can't cheat ourselves? We may be able to temporarily cheat ourselves. We may be able to temporarily convince ourselves that what we are doing is right. But because Krishna is in the heart, he takes account. He takes account of what we're doing. So Krishna is in the heart. So of gambling of the cheat, of the splendid, I am the splendor. He's the origin of everything that is splendid. I am victory, I am adventure, I am the strength of the strong. It's like people like going on adventure. He's saying that adventure is me. People like to win. That winning is me. I am the strength of the strong. So anyone who's got any strength, guess what? That strength comes from me. So anything attractive, whatever we're attractive to in this world, someone's beauty, someone's fame, someone's wisdom, someone's intelligence, anything we're attracted to, anyone we're attracted to, that is coming from Krishna. So this is him giving us his CV, not a bad CV. So then in text 39, can anyone read text 39, please? Yeah, thank you.
Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me.
Thank you. He's making it so clear. He's just making it so clear. Nothing in this world is possible. No one in this world is possible. No one can exist separate from me. Everything comes from me. Everything comes from me. And then he says in text 40, there is no, O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. Basically saying, I could go on and on and on here. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulence. So I'm just telling you a little bit here. I'm just telling you a little bit. There's a war over here about to start. I'll just tell you a little bit. And then he says, know that all opulent, text 41, know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. So Krishna is saying that the title for today was a spark of his splendor. What does it mean? That all these different opulences that we may be attracted to are like the sparks. They're like the sparks. We may be attracted to someone's wealth, their beauty, their talent, their humor, their mischievous, the way they're mischievous, their charisma, the way they speak, the way they dress, the way they walk, anything. We may, their hairstyle, whatever we're attracted to. These are little sparks. And what Krishna is saying is that it's a spark of my splendor. So what Krishna is getting at is, hey, rather than being attracted to the sparks, be attracted to the splendor. Be attracted to the person, me, he's saying me, not me, Krishna, being attracted to me, Krishna, who is the origin of all these different opulences. Become attracted to me. And sometimes we think, but I'm not attracted to Krishna. We may, and we can be honest, we might not be attracted to him. We might not be, he's all right. You know, he's got a flute and he stands quite, he's all right. We might not be attracted to him. Okay, we may not be attracted to him. So then what Krishna says is, okay, in text 8, if we go back to the Chatur Shloki, he says, okay, but because I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds, just because you're wise, because you're intelligent, just engage in devotional service and worship me with your heart. So even if you're not attracted to me, just do it. Just do it because it's good for you. Do some devotional service to me because it's good for you. It'll be good for you. Tara Matej coach. It'll be good for you. It'll be good if you do this. It'll be good for you. So if we're not attracted to him, do it anyway. Isn't it? In the 3rd canto in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapiladev, who is an incarnation of Krishna, he says that a man and woman, they should not do any seva for each other. Because if that happens, they end up getting married. So what we're trying to say is that attraction develops through seva. Isn't it? When someone does something for us, attraction develops. Attraction develops through service, through seva. So what Krishna is saying is actually, if you are attracted to me, serve me out of that attraction. If you're not attracted to me, serve me, because your intelligence is your spiritual intelligence is guiding you to serve me. And through that service, we become attracted. Why do we become attracted to service generally? Because when we serve someone, because they appreciate it, we naturally feel inclined to serve them more. Isn't it? Like through that, if someone says, "Oh, thank you so much, that really helped me," then you think, okay, this person is really benefiting, I'll just do a bit more service for them. And then they say again, "Thank you so much. This means so much to me." And then they might give you a gift or a token or something to really show their gratitude. And then you're thinking, "Oh my God, I just want to serve even more." And this relationship is developing. And this is what Krishna does. When we serve him within our hearts, he reciprocates. He shows some gratitude. We get inspired. We start to feel happy. We start to feel less attracted to the difficulties around us. We get less sucked into them. I remember when I first started practicing spiritual life, the first thing I started to notice was that when people teased me, it started to affect me less. Because I grew up with family and friends who always tease each other. You know, you make fun of each other. It's like the culture. But I didn't used to tell anyone, but inside it would really hurt me. But I used to try externally not to show that it would upset me. I laugh it off and then just make fun out of them back. But to be honest, I didn't like when people made fun of me. I really didn't like it, but I didn't tell anyone. But it used to sometimes really hurt me. It used to really upset me. But then what I noticed when I started to practice spiritual life, it just didn't affect me anymore. These things just started to affect me so much less. It's not that I became less sensitive. It's just I was able to somehow not let it affect me. We can't change our personality. If we're sensitive, we're sensitive. But it didn't affect me the way it did. And I started to realize that actually this process of spirituality has got something really deep, profound, and real within it. Because when we become attracted to Krishna, it's like, okay, let's think of it like this. When you first fell in love, okay, when we first fell in love, it doesn't matter who's around us, who's there, who's not, you're just thinking of that person. And anything else that's going on in the background is just like a big blur. It's like whatever, because you're in this little bubble. So this relationship with Krishna is kind of like that. That we get attracted to this spiritual bubble. And when we get attracted to this life of spirituality, then what naturally starts to happen is everything else gets put into perspective. It gets put into perspective because we understand the reality is the spirituality. And everything else that's going on is there to facilitate my spiritual growth. So what we can leave with today is text number 42, where Krishna says this: "But what need is there, Arjun, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe." So Krishna is saying, just a tiny bit of me is dealing with this whole universe. So similarly for us, we can see that the little things in life, let's not pay them too much attention. Because the smallest part of Krishna is the whole universe. So if we put our attention to developing a relationship with him, that's where we are going to find our true identity. Arjun's in an identity crisis. He's actually in a crisis of identity. He doesn't know who he is. He's thinking, am I a Kuru Nandana or am I a Kshatriya? Am I from this Kuru family where I cannot fight against Bhishma, I cannot fight against Drona, because they're all my relatives, they're my teachers, they're my family? Or am I a Kshatriya? Am I meant to just be a Kshatriya? He's in an identity crisis. He doesn't know who he's meant to be. Sometimes we have an identity crisis. Let's give you a simple example. An identity crisis. One identity, you're an employee at work. The other identity, you may be a parent. Your child is sick. But you've got to hand in a project, you've got to go for a presentation to present this project to a client, and if you don't do it, the deal falls through. So you've got two identities. You got two identities, and you have an identity crisis. Do I look after my kid, or do I present this project so I can get this client through, etc.? Krishna is telling Arjun, forget the identity of being a Kurunandana, forget the identity of being a Kshatriya, go for your deeper spiritual identity, which is your relationship with me. And what Krishna is urging us to do is the same thing. Develop that real identity of a relationship with Krishna. And then all our other identities, all our other dharmas, all our other duties will become very clear to us. The ones we need to pursue, and also maybe the ones we need to drop. And we may need to drop them. That's okay. Life is continually changing. And if we don't keep upping our spiritual game, the material game takes over. So the material world is moving dynamically. It's always moving. It's always testing. Always. So unless we are connecting spiritually at a higher rate than the way the material world is attacking us, if we're not connecting spiritually in that way, then we are going to start feeling overwhelmed. We're going to start feeling overwhelmed. So the only way to not feel overwhelmed by everything is remember who's in our heart, connect with that person in our heart, and really begin to have a life where spirituality is the priority. And that's what Krishna is urging us in the Bhagavad Gita. Live your life, but let spirituality be the priority. So maybe that's a good time for us to stop, and maybe we can open it up for anyone to ask any questions or share any comments. It'll be really good to hear from all of you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Okay, any questions?
Haribol. I was just reading through 1042.
Yeah.
I'm just a bit confused where it says his partial representation, and at the bottom it says Krishna's partial expansion. He's like a super soul, he's everywhere. But I'm a bit confused between that concept where it says his partial representation and the partial expansion. If you can just clarify that.
Yeah, so his partial, just show me exactly where does it say that so I can just see the context.
So the partial expansion is at the end.
Oh, at the end, yeah,
of the
from
text.
Lord Krishna's potent energy, like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
the
Krishna's
partial
partial expansion, the whole world is maintained. So from Krishna, we have, in a nutshell, we have Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh. From Krishna we have Balaram. From Balaram we have Sankarshan. So what Krishna is basically saying is that from him, his original person, he expands. And from that expansion, ultimately then an expansion of that expansion comes Vishnu. And from Vishnu becomes the creation. So that's what he means by expansion. Does that make sense? Good. Anyone? Yes. Yeah.
So, we've listen so much that everything is Krishna, everything, he's in everyone, he's everything. But just to look at the Bhagavad Gita, okay, with Arjun, you can see Krishna in Arjun. Just give an example. You can see that can be Krishna. But when you look at somebody like Duryodhan, how can you see Krishna in him?
Yeah, good point.
And that's like in life as well. Sometimes
Yeah.
in some people you can see Krishna, but
Yeah, how
others
can you see them? So the thing, it's a really good question. So how can we see Krishna we can see Krishna in the saintly people, but how do we see Krishna in the demoniac people? See, whoever is coming to us, whatever is coming to us and whoever is coming to us, Krishna has sanctioned that. Because Krishna says that not a blade of grass moves without his sanction. So that means that whoever is coming to us, even if they're demoniac, even if they're trying to take us away from Krishna or trying to take us away from our happiness, trying to really give us a hard time, the two things we can always ask ourselves is, what does Krishna want me to learn? And how does Krishna want me to respond? And in that way, we'll be able to see Krishna in that person. Because that person has come as an agent of our karma. That person isn't bad, they're just an agent. If we can see them okay, this person's not bad. Whatever's coming to me is a result of my own karma. And this person is just an agent. And actually, when we can get really spiritually elevated, we'll be able to thank that person. Thank you for delivering my karma to me. It takes a lot of spiritual advancement. I cannot say I'm there yet. But we can start asking ourselves those two things. What does Krishna want me to learn that I haven't yet learned, which is why this test keeps coming through different people? And we notice the same test will come, it's just packaged a bit differently. And then how does Krishna want me to respond? Every other time I respond by shouting and leaving the room. This time, I'm not going to shout. This time I'm going to hear that person. I'm going to take my medicine. And then I'm going to respond respectfully. And that's just one example. But that's how we can start to see Krishna everywhere. Even through people who look like they are anti-Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Why did Krishna go through the trouble of creating all of us, keeping tabs of our karma? He could have just relaxed in peace and watched TV and no worry about anything.
Yeah. The thing is that the highest pleasure Krishna can get is through a loving relationship. That's the highest pleasure. He could have sat and watched TV and he would have still been happy. But the highest pleasure is through loving relationship. So we're all here and we're all able to have a loving relationship with him. And when we engage in that loving relationship, it's not just making us happy, it's making him very happy too. So it's that loving connection. Even in this world, even if there was no God, the highest form of happiness we have is through loving connection, relationship with family and friends, through others, through that relationship. So what Krishna is saying is, okay, that's the highest form of connection here, but the problem is here, it doesn't always end well. It always gives us some sort of problem. So Krishna is saying, have this relationship with me where there is loving satisfaction. So that's why he did it. He just wanted to experience that loving relationship. And the more he can experience it, the happier he is. Is that okay? Yeah? Thank you. Anyone else want to share anything, ask anything?
Good. So initially we'll call it a day there, just perfect 8:30. So timings are getting good. So anyway, look, Hari Bol. Initially, my thank you on behalf of Jyotiben, Parish and all the people that are organizing. It's great to see familiar faces coming back and some new faces. We like to make this very relaxed. So if anyone does want to give their name later on to Jyotiben or Bhavisha, we can add you onto the list. We meet about twice a month, the first and the third Wednesday. It's relaxed. Come to as many as you can. But the one thing I would say is when I listen to these classes, we have two different speakers. I always get amazed. I read the chapter and I think, yeah, it's nice. But actually, when you hear it from someone like Kunal, it is so much sweeter. And it's lovely to see that. So we're really grateful for that input that you've had. And just so people are aware, Kunal was only told 2 days ago. So Vaishnav Prabhu was going to do the class. Then for some reason, somebody else was going to do it. Then it was going to be me. But, and then you'd have probably been crying, not laughing at the end of this. And luckily, we had a savior. And so Kunal helped us. So again, just 2 days ago. So again, he's given up that time. So really, we're grateful for them from that point of view. Couple of things. Lohana's, we're part of the LCNL, so again, we're grateful to them. And we have Sneha Ben, who's supported us through all of this. And on the 27th of April at the DCL, we've got the Hanuman Chalisa for 108 rounds. We'll put the flyer onto our Gita site later on. Again, it's one of our LCNL functions. We love her support here. We love her singing, and we'll hopefully love her Hanuman Chalisa as well. So thank you so much for that. And talking of families, I'm always amazed by how much people give up their time and everything else. And we've got the lovely family at the back who have kindly sponsored. In fact, their children have come. So it's Sergio and Minil. Thank you so much. And if you look at what they've bought, it's fantastic. And they've brought their kids along. So we're grateful that the kids have come. So hopefully we'll get your names on the list. We'll bring you back here as well. But I've got nothing else to say, but look, please enjoy the prasadam. Anyone wants to come along next time, give your names here. And if anyone wants to pick up some Bhagavad Gitas, do so. But the other thing I will always urge you to do, actually open the book, read the book. And it's just amazing because I reflected to myself, yes, Krishna is God. Yes, but. And we have so many buts. But actually the book is very clear. We've got to remember this is the words that have actually come from God, not by somebody else listening to God. These are the words of God. So actually spend a bit of time, develop that relationship, and come back and have a good time. Please enjoy prasadam. Hare Krishna. And please, Kunal, Haribol, thank you. Yeah, sorry. Basically, I wanted to